All right, welcome everyone to the first episode of the rebranded sort of Draw Control podcast. We're super excited to talk about the season and just everything that's coming up. So we thought since the season starts in almost a month from now, we will do sort of every episode just previewing different conferences and different topics that are going on in women's college lacrosse right now and sort of give our thoughts about what's happening. So I'm super excited for just doing these segments every week and sort of just talking about lacrosse and sort of getting, our audience excited for the upcoming season. Uh, so I'll start off with you, Abby, if you want to say anything before we start getting into, the topics that we had and things like that.
Yeah, I'm also very excited to start this. I think looking at the previewing the season and all of the conferences, I think was is really, really exciting, especially for fans to just come and engage with this podcast and see what we have and see kind of from a fan perspective as well. I think it'll be really exciting for this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, make sure you check out our interview with Hannah Davis after this segment. The timestamp will be on the description. And obviously, we explained all the rebrand stuff on our Instagram, but make sure you follow us on Spotify, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. And the more that we continue to grow, the more cooler content that we get to produce for you guys. So make sure you follow all that stuff. It would mean a lot to both myself and Abby. But let's talk about this upcoming season because, yeah, like I mentioned, it's coming up pretty soon, believe it or not. And for me, I'm really excited for the upcoming season, just from a fan perspective. To me, the season feels a little more wide open than in previous years. When you think about it, all the teams that made it to the Final Four lost some really key players. So I'm curious to see like how they try to replace some of those losses. You also have teams like North Carolina who dealt with a lot of injuries last season getting some of those players back. So I'm excited to see how they do with that. And I'm also excited to see if other teams like Clemson, John Hopkins, for example, can sort of take that next big step like Florida did this past year and potentially can make it to the Final Four. But overall, it's going to be a really exciting year. I'm just excited to see what transpires so far. And obviously, there's a lot of unknowns, and we're not sure what's going to happen yet, just because no one's played a game yet. But I'm pretty excited to see how it all transpires. I think we'll have and I think some of the stuff that we expect will probably happen, but I feel like there'll be some surprises as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Talking about North Carolina, the Tar Heels have significantly strengthened their roster, especially reuniting the Humphrey sisters, Nicole, Ashley, and Chloe. They're going to be such a strong force to look out for this season, as well as their team pulling from the transfer portal, which we'll talk about later. UVA, with their strong performance of last year, I think will definitely be a key component and a team to look out for, as well as Syracuse. And then looking from the top two last year, Boston College and Northwestern, following Boston College's national championship last year, they definitely have a title to defend. And Northwestern coming back to the top, especially losing a lot of key components, I think this season we're in for a treat for sure.
Now let's talk about that recruiting class because obviously North Carolina kind of won this year if you look at the Inside Lacrosse website with all the recruits they got, especially the five stars. But I'll start off looking at the website. I would say for me, there's a few recruits that really stand out to me, and for me, the one I'm most excited to see is Kate Levy. She had an incredible high school career at McDonough. But she was also outstanding in the U20 World Championships, scoring 10 goals, but also getting 10 draw controls as well. She's really shown that she's a versatile midfielder, which I think will be very useful for the Tar Heels. It'll be interesting to see how much playing time she gets because obviously that North Carolina team is pretty loaded, but she's my prediction for Rookie of the Year because she's proven that she can do it with college players in the international level that we saw this summer, but also she dominated in high school as well. So that's a freshman that I'm looking forward to watch this year. But some other two freshmen that I did want to mention was Devin Russell from Boston College. She's a midfielder, and then Kayla Gilmore from Maryland as well. Those were two players that had really good high school careers as well. I'm excited to see how they fit in with their new teams because I think they're going to be key impact players as well. So those are the three recruits that really stand out to me. But how about you, Abby? Which recruits are you excited to see for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Kate Levy, obviously great year ending with McDonough and now being coached by one of the best who's also her mom, which I think is so cool. And I think it'll be definitely an interesting dynamic. I don't know, will it help her with having a parent as a coach at the college level, or will that kind of influence her game? I don't know, like we'll see. But I also think Hannah Davis is definitely going to be such a great component added to Boston College this year, coming off of a great senior year as well, and now playing with her older sister, who she said in our interview with her that that just elevates her game a lot tremendously, and it's going to be really exciting dynamic to watch. And speaking of, we got the chance to talk to her before this, and just hearing how excited she is about her team and individual play is just awesome hearing. And their goal at Boston College is to win championships, and that's exactly what she intends on doing with her team. So I'm excited to see that this year.
Yeah, for sure. And had the chance to interview Kate this past summer, and it seems like her and her mother have a great dynamic, sort of separating the coach and family aspect. So I feel like it won't be an issue. And obviously, her mom's one of the best coaches of all time. So I feel like some of those lacrosse genes had to be passed down to her. So I think she's going to have a great freshman year. I'm really excited to watch her play. But another thing that sort of was a hot commodity in the offseason was the transfer portal. It's a hot commodity in every college sport, but it's no different in women's lacrosse as hundreds of players entered the portal this year. Before we talk about some of the transfers that we're excited to see, what's your perspective on it as a player, sort of seeing all these transfers go down? And are you surprised when you see certain players enter the portal, or is it sort of like just an average thing for just players now because it's so common?
Yeah, I think every year you see players come in and come out. I don't think it's anything to do with anything too serious other than just playtime or the school in general. And it happens every single year. You have like fifth years coming back. You have now that the COVID year is over, but that was a big influencer on whether people stayed or not because those fifth years, sixth years, even seventh years that stayed can take a lot of positions away from people just based off of experience and how long they've been there and their talent. But it is interesting to see every single year who enters the portal and who doesn't.
It's really from a fan perspective, I kind of like it because it's kind of like free agency for college
Yeah,
sports, just
100%.
seeing like who might enter and which teams they might go to and how teams can sort of use that to their advantage to make their team even stronger. And for
Yeah.
me, there was a lot of standouts in the transfer portal this year, but one that comes to mind for myself is Lindsay Marshall from Towson. She's going to Clemson. She is a two-time All-CAA first team selection, and she finished her career with 125 goals and 33 assists, collecting 208 draw controls and getting 48 ground balls. Just incredible stats with Towson. And obviously, that Clemson team, they got a lot of strong freshmen. I thought they built a really good foundation as well with some of their upperclassmen and sophomore class as well. And just adding a player like that is just going to make that team even stronger. And I feel like that's why I feel like Clemson has a legit chance at doing some big things in the ACC because getting a transfer like that. And I'm really excited to see what she does with their new team. Two other ones that really stood out to me were Casey Roberts going from Ohio State to USC. I feel like she's going to be a key component for the Trojans. And then Olivia Vergano going from Virginia Tech to UNC. We talked about how UNC has a great recruiting class. Also, they're returning a lot of players from injury, but just adding one of the top defenders in the portal just makes that team even stronger, in my opinion. So those were some of the transfers that stood out to me. I'm just curious to hear your perspective on that, Abby, as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the transfer portal definitely made a ruckus this year with the players, but let's just talk about the teams with Charlotte, which is embarking on an inaugural season. This is their first season, and pulling from that transfer portal was definitely a very crucial move for them to make. So they made a notable impact by securing a top 10 transfer class, headlining by former Virginia Tech players like Issa Torres and Claire Shada, as well as Louisville transfer Ali Prasinos. I definitely do think that team is definitely going to be a fun team to watch this year, especially being their first season. But also Nicole Humphrey, as I said before, with her brief period at USC, Humphrey is now rejoining her sisters at North Carolina. During her initial years with the Tar Heels, she had 45 goals and 57 points over 4 years. So I definitely do think that she's going to make an impact for the UNC Tar Heels this year as well.
Yeah, and obviously Chloe got injured last year, so it's obviously one of the big things from a freshman perspective, as you know, is trying to build up that chemistry with your teammates. Well, she already has some chemistry with her sisters, I would imagine. So maybe that sort of, I guess, rust that you have to deal with after an injury might not have too much of an effect on a player like that, just because she's so used to playing with her two sisters.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be fun seeing all three of them on the same field at once for sure.
But let's transition now to our interview with Hannah Davis. I had a lot of fun talking with her. We talked about many things, including her upcoming freshman year with Boston College, her high school career as well, and getting the chance to play with her sister as well. It was a great interview. Abby, if you have anything to add about the interview, it was a lot of fun from my perspective, getting the chance to do that.
Yeah, it was also, I thought it was an awesome interview. Seeing an upcoming player that's definitely going to make some noise this year is very exciting for sure.
All right, all right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Draw Control Podcast. On today's episode, we are joined by freshman on the Boston College women's lacrosse team, Hannah Davis. Hanna was a five-star recruit and a four-year letter winner in lacrosse. Hanna was also a four-time scholar athlete and distinguished scholar. She was the number 19 recruit according to ILWomen.com. She was a two-time captain, participated in the New Balance All-America All-Star Game, and was a 2021 Section 5 champion and a first-team All-County all four seasons in high school. We're super excited to have her on the podcast, and excited to talk to her about her lacrosse career amongst other things. So, welcome to the podcast, Hannah, and how is everything going?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to be on this podcast today, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. I know your sister has done a few podcasts before. Is this your first one, though?
Yes, this is my first one.
Nice, nice. Well, we'll remember that when you're in the Terraton ceremony. We can brag to all the other lacrosse media members that we had you on their first podcast. So, but how has your freshman year been going for you, both on and off the field at Boston College so far?
So far, I've enjoyed college a lot more than I thought I would. I was extremely nervous to come to BC, and I've never experienced being so far from home. And so just like being here is a new experience, but I've definitely adjusted to it. And off the field, I found the most amazing group of people, and they're now like family to me. But on the field, I've learned all the new concepts, which has been a hard adjustment, and it's just a completely different style of play. But playing every single day for one of the best coaching staffs someone could ever ask for is honestly a dream come true, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience so far.
Yeah, for sure. So wrapping up fall ball now, how would you kind of evaluate your team's play as well as individually?
I think our team looks really good this year. Our performance against Team USA definitely proved how much talent that we have on this team and how good we're going to be this year. And individually, like I said before, it's definitely an adjustment from high school, but every day you just learn new things and you get better every day. And I think that that's a big part of being a college athlete.
Yeah, so you kind of harped on this a little bit. So you're a freshman this year. So what has been kind of the biggest adjustment or change that you've had to make going into college?
I would say definitely the pace of the game. It's a lot faster, which has made me become a faster player, which I've kind of always wanted growing up. But it's hard playing fast in high school when you're not surrounded by a bunch of other amazing athletes. And I would just say, like, one adjustment that I've definitely had to make is being able to think two steps ahead. And definitely on the field, just always knowing like where the ball should go before it's even in your stick is just definitely something that I've had to learn since I've been here, and it's definitely put a big step up into my game.
Yeah, what would you say has been like the biggest improvement you've made to your game so far in college? Has it been that mental side of the game, like you mentioned, or has it been something else like improving your speed, which helps your creativity as a ta attacker?
I would definitely say like mentally I've gotten a lot stronger since I've been here. But also I would say one of the best things that I have like improved on since I've been here is my dodging. And we work on 1v1 dodging in practice literally every single day, and getting corrections from one of the best dodgers of all time, Sam Apuzzo, has definitely been so helpful in my development as a dodger, and just being able to get corrections by even like our defensive coach, Jen Ken. She also helps us with dodging too. So it's just an amazing experience to be able to become a better dodger from learning from the best. So
Yeah, definitely. So you talked about the mental side, the physical side. So what has it been like building chemistry with your new teammates, especially the attackers and midfielders?
it's been amazing. Building a relationship with people that I've watched for like 3 or even 4 years has been so cool. Like just playing with people that I've always looked up to, like Rachel Clark, for example, or Emma Lapinto, and even my sister McKenna. So being able to like build a connection with them is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and speaking of your teammates, you get the chance to play with your older sister McKenna, Is this the first time you guys get to play together on a team, and what's it been like so far?
So me and McKenna played together for 1 year in high school, and it was my freshman year and her senior year. And being able to come to BC and play with her for her senior year and my freshman year is just like so full circle, and it's just an amazing experience. And yeah.
Is there any sibling rivalry going on, like in practice, like any sort of drills you guys do to like compete against one another, or has it sort of been, I guess like how do you like separate your relationship on and off the field, like from teammates and family members and things like that?
So on the field here, we haven't had any rivalry, but I'd say in high school, we definitely would fight a lot in high school, but we both matured a lot since then. I mean, it's 4 years later. We'd play more together than against each other on the field here. So it's been a good experience to be able to work with her and learn from her at the same time.
Yeah, and what has McKenna meant to you both on and off the field? And how excited are you to play college lacrosse with her at Boston College? It must have been so cool to watch her, win the national championship last year, but this must be even more special than that, getting the chance to play with her as well.
Yeah, McKenna has always been one of my biggest inspirations. Watching her grow as a player over the years has helped me set my goals for myself and has also helped me become the best player I can possibly be. She's an amazing player, so being able to share the field with her every single day is honestly an honor, in my opinion. Sharing the field with her my senior year, I didn't always think of it that way. But just on the field and practice, it's just someone that can give you like the most honest answer, which can sometimes cause an argument like it did in high school, but like just knowing that someone will be like, you're having a bad day, like step it up is honestly like a good thing to have, being like a newcomer onto a new team. And then off the field, just like having some type of family around is always just like amazing. Like when I get homesick, I have her. She can come over and hang out, or I can go see her and hang out, and it just makes me feel a little less homesick. And if I'm stressed about school, I can go to her, or anything else like that. So it's really nice having her here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure it's like a home away from home, so that's really
Yeah.
nice having you there for sure. So you kind of talked about this a little bit, but you're coached by Acacia Walker, who's probably one of the best lacrosse coaches, arguably of all time. So from your perspective, what makes her such a great coach and what makes her stand out from coaches you've previously had?
Well, Acacia is an amazing coach for multiple reasons, but I'd say one, she's a mom, which makes her love us like unbearably. Like she absolutely loves us. And I think that that kind of just builds a closer connection to the team, having a coach who just like loves you as much as her own family. And second of all, she was an amazing lacrosse player, so she teaches us how to be great on a daily basis. And she was a tough player and came up through like all the coaching rankings, so she teaches us that hard works kind of breeds success. And I would also say that she learns from her losses. So I think that that kind of teaches us to make like every situation, win or lose, and you can turn it into a positive. For example, like 2 years ago, we lost the national championship and we completely took that game and turned it into such a positive thing, coming back and winning the next year. And if you put all those things together, you just have a great person and a great coach along with a great mentor. So when you have that, you can win championships. So that's just my opinion on Acacia. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, what are your team's goals and expectations for next season? Obviously, the team is a little different from last year's national championship squad, more specifically on the defensive end. But I'm wondering how your team has been sort of building that consistency, dealing with the pressure of having a target on your team's back, being the defending champions, but also for you, trying to find a role on the team as a freshman, as well. I feel like that's something that a lot of freshmen tell me is sort of another adjustment to make is sort of finding that role on the team. So I'm curious how your outlook is for the upcoming spring and what you hope to accomplish as a team.
Yeah, so obviously the team's goal is to win back-to-back national championships. That's every team's goal, but we definitely take that goal and we put it way up there. Our team has been working so hard all fall to build chemistry with all of the new additions, including myself. And as for the target on our backs, we welcome it. Um, as BC, we like to challenge and we are ready to defend our title. And we are so excited to go back to the national championship and try to win it again. And being a new player, I love working hard and competing every single day at practice. And my dream has always been to win a national championship. And the standard at BC is to win championships. So I would definitely say, just like as a role on my team, I just do what the coaches say. And wherever they need me, I jump in. And that's just kind of how I've been adjusting this year. And yeah, so obviously the goal is to win this year. So super excited.
Yeah, especially because it's in Boston or in
Mhm.
Massachusetts, the Final
Yeah.
Four, so that makes it even more special, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Definitely with the fan base will be absolutely crazy this year. So that's exciting.
yeah, that'll be awesome. So before we get too far ahead, we did want to talk about your like growing up and your career and transitioning back into like you're from New York. So talk about growing up there. How did you start playing lacrosse? When did you start? And kind of just talking about, your hometown a little bit.
Yeah, so I have always tried to figure out when I started playing lacrosse, and every single time I ask my dad, he always gives me the since the day you could walk speech. And so my dad was a very good lacrosse player, and he played pro box along with D3 in college. So being born into a lacrosse family definitely impacted my life in the best way possible. And I grew up a few towns over from Canandaigua, and then I moved to Canandaigua over COVID. And the move to Canandaigua was just something that I definitely needed. My dad was the high school coach there, so being able to play for him just gave us a closer relationship in a way that kind of just inspired me to keep getting better because I wanted to perform for him every single day, practice or games. And just growing up in New York where lacrosse wasn't a huge thing, it was more of a big thing in Long Island. So just like growing the sport of lacrosse in upstate was a good experience to kind of grow into and moving to all of those like East Coast, like Maryland, New Jersey tournaments was also kind of cool.
Who was your favorite player and team that you liked to watch growing up?
Syracuse. Around like an hour
Wow.
from Syracuse. Yeah. So I went to all the games. My family and I went to every single game, decked out in all of our orange, and my favorite player was Kayla Trainer. And I would just always hear her name like on the loudspeaker, and obviously like my eye would just like go to her hearing her name so many times. And she was just such a good playmaker, and she would just do so much to help herself and her teammates too. I feel like her teammates were always her number one priority, and just like making everyone look good. So that always just inspired me, and I definitely looked up to her as a kid.
Yeah, growing up, rooting for Syracuse, now wanting to beat them. That's kind of a full circle moment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So talking about your dad a little bit more. So he obviously played in college. So what has he taught you about the game and how has he helped you in your lacrosse career?
Oh, my dad knows the game probably better than anyone I've ever met. He sleeps with the college rule book next to his bed every night, and he has just taught me a different style of play. To always just like keep my stick by my ear, and most importantly, to play smart. You could have the worst stick skills in the world, and you could still have be an insanely smart player and be really good. So I would always just like kind of watch him read over the rule book, and he would always like update me on new rules that were put in place, and he just kind of inspired me to kind of follow in his footsteps and learn the rules and become smarter as a player. And he was just always pushing me to get better. Throughout high school, he would send me lacrosse videos on like Instagram, and he would go to the turf and work on different types of shots or dodges with me, and always just like in the yard playing catch with me. Over COVID was when we spent like the most time together playing lacrosse, so it's good.
Kind of going off of that, what was your high school experience like?
High school was definitely a lot different than BC. Like I kind of said before, it was a little slower pace, but I met the most amazing people in high school, and I built the best relationship with all my teammates that I would play against. And just like overall, my favorite part was just playing against some of my best friends too. I played for Monster, and we all kind of lived in the same area, so we would play against each other. And just like being able to be so competitive with some of your best friends on the field. And then, like, as soon as that last whistle blows of the game, being able to just like be their best friend again and be like, give them the biggest hug after the game is just like such an experience. And in a way, it kind of just teaches you to always play with class because you're playing against some of the best players ever, and being best friends with them is a good experience too.
What's your favorite memory from high school lacrosse, looking back on it now?
Winning that sectional championship, that was my freshman year. So me and McKenna were on the team together. And just like being able to win a championship with someone that you love so much, along with my dad coaching at the same time, it was just a great day for the three of us. Honestly, it was such a good experience. And that team my freshman year was different than any team I've ever been a part of. We were just so close and like we just all of us just like had that drive that we wanted to win and it almost felt like our team this year and back to like my freshman year. So I feel like it's definitely a leadership thing. But yeah, teams that want to win win. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned playing for Monster Elite. So how did your club experience help you prepare for college?
Monster truly changed my life for the better. It opened doors to like new experiences and is definitely like one of the main reasons that I'm here today. We had tournaments all summer, all fall, and it just like allowed coaches to look at us and to come and watch me and my teammates play almost every weekend, if not like every other weekend. And Monster just had such an amazing coaching staff. Craig Chamberlain is the head of recruiting for the whole program and he does an absolutely amazing job. Just like when I was going through the process, I knew he was by my side and he was always there supporting me and helping me in any way possible.
Now, one moment we have to talk about, I feel like this is from Monster, but I'm not sure 100%, is the viral video of yourself doing a stick dodge and then getting the behind the back goal while breaking the defender's ankles. It was such a great video for me to watch.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, as an attacker, how do you work on your creativity? And what was your reaction to that viral video? Do you think that's the best ankle break a Davis family member has had on the lacrosse field?
I haven't seen McKenna break someone's ankles that bad yet, but maybe one to come. But when I first saw the video, I was in complete shock. Normally at tournaments, when you see someone with like a huge camera, you kind of know when someone's like filming you. But I don't even know if it was a guy or a girl filming. Like I didn't even know if someone was there watching. And so like a week later after the tournament, it was like an indoor fall tournament for Monster. My Instagram just started blowing up and I was so confused. And then I saw this video and then multiple accounts just like kept reposting it and I was honestly confused. But I mean, it's like a good experience to be posted all over the place for something that you've done so well. And I would just say like creativity is always something that I've wanted to add to my game. And I would just go to the turf with my dad all the time, like I said. And whenever I would go there just to like shoot, I would always do like stick tricks and I would just always like work on my behind the back shot or like a between the leg shot. And like once you master a skill, I would say you start to get more comfortable and more you build more confidence to do it in a game. So just starting off with a behind the back shot, it's a shot that a lot of people learn and some people never have the confidence to do in a game. And I just thought it was a good opportunity to shoot it behind my back with the defender sliding in front of me. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. That's just a great video, so we had to ask that. But no, it's a pretty cool, and I think feel like I haven't seen anyone do a between the leg shot in college lacrosse, at least when I've been watching the sport. So hopefully you can see that this upcoming year.
I don't know if I've mastered that skill yet, but I'll keep working on it for you.
We'll keep an eye out for it. So, last lacrosse question is what was your recruiting process like with Boston College and what made you go there versus some of the other schools that you were looking at?
Um, well, first off, Boston College has always been a school that I was interested in. It's been my dream school since like fourth grade. I moved on from Syracuse to Boston College really quickly. I remember I have this story that I will never forget. I was at a tournament over the summer and it was at Harvard and we had just played Laxachusetts, which is Acacia's connected to Laxachusetts, so she was at the game. And she came up to my dad after the game and she said, "Where do I get one of those?" And she pointed at me. So my dad brought me over and introduced me. And that's just a story that I will literally never forget. And ever since then, BC has been my dream school. And I was just the biggest BC fan ever. I would watch all of their games. And my sister was like diehard Syracuse fans for the longest time ever. And we would have like a little rivalry over it. But on September 1st, when they called, I was honestly blessed to have the opportunity to look at Boston College, and I committed very early. I think I committed on September 4th. So the second I got there, I knew that it was kind of the place for me. And after my visit, we were getting in the car to leave, and the car was dead silent. And I was like, "Mom, Dad, like, I think I want to go here. Like, this is the place for me." And my mom was like, "Well, we gotta go do it now." So we start driving back towards campus and we see them walking through this like parking lot. And I like jumped out of the car and I was like, "Hey, like I need to talk to you." And I was like I want to be an Eagle. Like this is where I want to be and this is where I want to end up and I want to spend the next 4 years of my life here. And that's just kind of how I committed.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I do have to ask, obviously your schedule came out recently. What game are you like most excited about? Is it the rematch? Is it the game against Syracuse, or is it the North Carolina game? That's the game that I have circled just because I feel like that's gonna be a really important game for the ACC standings.
Yeah, I think definitely the UNC game is going to be a really good game. Syracuse is always a close one with us too. I feel like we're both very talented in different areas. And obviously Northwestern, like we have that rivalry. They lost a lot of players last year, but so did we. So all three of those games are big games, but I think UNC might be the best game out of the three of them.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to a segment that we like to call the non-lacrosse segment. This is the segment where we ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you more off the field, and we'll give our answers as well to make it more of a fun segment and conversation.
All
So it
right.
is the holiday season. So what is your favorite holiday song and what is your least favorite holiday song? Like which one gets you excited to hear and then which one is sort of like, oh my gosh, why is this on the radio again?
I would say my favorite holiday song is probably the classic All I Want for Christmas Is You by like Mariah Carey. Or honestly, Justin Bieber's Christmas album is pretty good. Least favorite is the I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. It's just not good. Like when I hear it on the radio, I immediately turn it off. But ironically, it's McKenna's favorite. So
I would say my favorite is probably simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I don't know why, I just like that one a lot. It just brings back good like Christmas nostalgia for me. And least favorite, I don't know. I gotta think about that one a little bit. I'll have Abby answer. I want to hear Abby's answer before I think about mine.
I don't really have a least favorite. Like I always grew up like as soon as Thanksgiving was over, the radio was turned on and it was just Christmas music. And I love Last Christmas. That
Oh,
is
that's a great one. That's a good
it's
one.
awesome. Yeah. So I don't really have a least favorite, but that's definitely my favorite for sure.
I'll go with your answer, Hannah. I'll just say I want a hippopotamus for Christmas because I don't
Yeah,
really
that
listen
one
to
can get
that one
annoying.
much.
yeah, no, it's a hard song to listen to for sure.
So speaking of holidays, what is the most underrated holiday and what is the most overrated holiday?
Underrated has to be the 4th of July. It is my absolute favorite holiday. It's just so fun. In Canandaigua, the 4th of July is the biggest holiday of the year. And then overrated, and this is a very like hard opinion. Like no one agrees with me on this. I would have to say Thanksgiving. I love being with my family and like being thankful for everything, but I just don't like the food. It's just not for me.
I have to agree with you on the food for Thanksgiving. Hot
Yeah.
take, but I'm not a big turkey person.
It just there's no flavor to it. Like you
No.
have to add like stuffing and gravy to make it like taste a little bit better. I'm more of a ham guy myself.
Yeah, I'm a very picky eater, so Thanksgiving is just it's not for me at all.
Yeah. I would say underrated for me, probably Christmas Eve. I feel like that's always a fun little holiday, like in itself. And I would
Yeah.
say overrated is New Year's like day, just because like
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
forgot about that.
I feel like you don't like it's not as like you hype it up and then it's just kind of like just another day in the calendar. So that's the
Yeah.
one I would go with.
I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a good one. So you don't do anything. It's an average day. You just sit around.
Yeah, basically, it's all that changes is the year on the calendar. That's about it.
Yeah.
So let's now move on to questions about your teammates. So first one is which player on the BC women's lacrosse team has the best off the field style?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say either Brooke McCloy or Alexa Kenny. The two of them always just look so put together. Even if they aren't put together, they always look so put together. So I would say those two.
Now, obviously, a lot of people are on road trips now because of the holiday season. So which player on the BC women's lacrosse team would you want to be on a long road trip with for like 8, 10 hours? Like who could you think you could handle being on the road, sitting next to for all that time?
I would say freshman Devin Russell. I think me and Devin could sit in a car for 10 hours and could talk the whole time and entertain each other the whole time. She's so funny.
This might be a controversial question, but which player on the BC women's lacrosse team would you not let date your brother?
I gotta go with McKenna for obvious reasons.
Felt that one was coming.
Yeah.
What is last non-lacrosse question is what's been the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Oh, I actually saw these this morning. For some reason, we have these giant turkeys around campus, like live turkeys, and they're huge. And every morning when I walk down to the locker room, I always see them. There's like five or six of them just like wandering the sidewalks and the streets of our campus. So I would say the turkeys is definitely the weirdest thing I've seen this week.
They're mean too, I feel like. Every
Yeah.
time I see them, like they won't move at all when you need them to.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they just stand in the middle of the road. Like cars sit for like 5 minutes just waiting for them. So it's definitely weird seeing them around, like especially a city. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird.
Yeah. I had a buddy who like got annoyed at Canadian geese because they would always like be in his way. So he started chasing them. And I guess they're like really aggressive and they started hissing and chasing him back.
They're
Yeah.
super
And
aggressive.
it was like kind of funny when he told me about that. So
Geese are terrifying, like actually terrifying. If you look at
yeah, I
them the
agree
wrong
with
way,
you.
they'll attack you. So back
Uh,
to some lacrosse questions now. What should be done to help grow women's lacrosse?
I would say just like getting more girls to play. Start clubs in areas of the country instead of just like the hotbeds like Maryland, New Jersey, like even New York, like Long Island. And I would also say a big thing would be to change youth and high school rules to mirror the NCAA rules. I just think that it will make it so much easier to teach young kids about lacrosse instead of having to teach two different like types of lacrosse. It'll just be more enjoyable for kids to start playing and then also make it easier them for to like start watching older kids play.
Now, speaking of like the next generation, what advice would you give younger lacrosse players on what it takes to play in college like yourself?
I would say take advantage of every opportunity you're given and obviously like to always work hard and keep working and never doubt yourself. I feel like a lot of people can get down on themselves and overthink certain situations, but like I would say just definitely never doubt yourself. Like always just have the mindset that you can do it and you can work towards all your goals and achieve them.
Yeah, I love that. So we are doing a segment to help Matthew find a team to cheer for. So we thought we should ask why he should cheer for Boston College and who should his favorite player be.
Definitely cheer for BC. The fans are just so like family oriented, and I think that you'd get along in that kind of setting. And his favorite player, I would say Emma Pinto. She's so fun to watch. She just plays with so much like style, and she's also very creative on the field. So, yeah.
Nice, nice. I don't know. We have to find one of those like neon shirts that the fans wear. I feel like I see you, there's you can always spot the BC fans in every Final
Yeah.
Four. I don't know where you get those shirts though.
I mean, if you come to the Natty, I can probably have my parents get you one.
All right, all right. Sounds good. Sounds good. We gotta work that out at some point. So,
All right, we will.
unfortunately, Abby can't get one because that would be bad. But I feel like I could get one.
Yeah, it
That's
might
for
be a little
sure.
controversial for me,
Yeah.
but
Now, last question for you, Hannah, is just do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, former teammates in high school and club, and who should we have on the podcast next?
I would just say shout out to all my friends and family at home, and obviously my amazing teammates and coaches. And I would say next on the podcast, you should have Molly Guzik, a freshman at Syracuse. She's one of my best friends from home.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Hannah, we just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate your time that you gave us. It means a lot. Obviously, we wish you all the best for the upcoming season and your freshman year. And obviously, I feel like I have a pretty good feeling that your team is going to make it pretty far this year. So it's going to be fun to watch. So thank you so much for coming on, Hannah. I really appreciate it. I know Abby does as well.
yeah, thanks, Hannah. I'll see you hopefully in the spring.
Thank you so much for having me.